Thank you very much, and welcome to this delayed meeting of our monthly Garrard County Board of Education. We'd like to welcome you. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please note that all board members and the superintendent are present. And as we begin, would you join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. If you're able, would you stand with me as we say the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. The next order of business is to adopt the agenda, and I assume all board members have gone over the agenda, and at this time I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, before you do that, if you want to take the motion in discussion, I need to ask you to table an item, so we're just going to ask you to remove that item today.
Okay.
If you want to do the motion first and do it in discussion, that's fine, or if you want me to give you that before you make the motion.
Yeah, let's do it during discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
So moved.
Mr. Hurt moved.
I'll second.
Dr. Lamb seconded. Now, are there any questions?
For me, there is.
Please do.
If you look at action item L, approval of a bid for cafeteria tables. We've received those bids and we're reviewing them, but there's a couple of questions that have come up. And rather than make a hasty decision, it could be a $13,000 difference. We'd like to make sure that we give you the best advice that we can around that. So we're going to ask you to just pull that from the agenda tonight and we'll place it back in March. We're more comfortable with a delay in the purchasing to make sure that we have the best price for you that we can get.
Okay. Mr. Hurt, would you add to your motion to remove item L?
I so moved.
Okay, we're here a second. Second. All right, we're back to the original motion. The motion is to adopt the agenda, removing item L from the action agenda. All in favor, vote lifted hand. All board members voted aye. All right. Next is something we always enjoy, and under item 2, communications, and first of all, recognitions. Mr. Stull, I'll turn it over to you.
So we're fortunate tonight to be able to recognize the Garrard County Schools Whole Lot They Love Teacher of the Month. Our Teacher of the Month is from our Area Technology Center. Her name is Dariska Austin. Dariska is a former graduate of Garrard County High School and completed her M&A program as a student of Mrs. Smith. Dariska has gone above and beyond, starting up the new phlebotomy pathway for the Garrard ATC. And even with the challenges of COVID restrictions, she's been able to get her students the required clinical venipunctures by being flexible with scheduling outside normal school hours. This year, she's teaching a dual credit M&A course in the morning and has a phlebotomy class in the afternoon, made up of Lincoln County and Garrard County High School students. Dariska is an active advisor of HOSA, and Dariska has been very helpful to our teachers this year with the knowledge of Google Classroom and virtual teaching ideas. So congratulations to Dariska Austin.
Thank you.
You all want to come around? Or
All right.
You got a camera, don't you?
Oh,
come on up here, if you don't care.
okay.
You guys can just come this way if you want to.
All right, Mr. Watts, step one. There you go. That's it. Okay. Can see everybody. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So bright. Oh, thank you.
As usual, we want to thank Whole Lot of Love for participating with us and supporting this tonight.
Thank you.
You okay? Ready? Ready to go on?
Yes, sir,
All
please.
right. Next are our students of the month. Our first student is from Kent Dick Robinson. It's Avery Roseberry, first grader, daughter of Jonathan and Kristen Roseberry. Avery Roseberry's been such a joy to have in class this year. She's always smiling, has a positive attitude towards her peers and teachers, and comes in every day ready to work hard. It doesn't matter if we're in a virtual setting or in the classroom, she's always prepared and puts forth her best effort. One of the favorite things about Avery is that she's always wanting to help others. When she completes her work at school, she'll often ask if she can help someone else. She sets a great example in the classroom and is very deserving of CDR's Student of the Month award. So congratulations to Avery.
Everybody. Over here.
Turn that way.
Congratulations.
Gotta get. See, I can get it back. One second, let me take one more.
Our second student tonight is from Lancaster Elementary. It's Jackson Gaffney, fourth grade son of Michael and Jessica Gaffney. Jackson's a very dedicated student. During virtual days, Jackson shows up for all Google Meets early, completes his work, and comes in every day for his services. He's making many strides in class. Jackson's been at LES since kindergarten and has made incredible improvements in his education each year. Ms. Bottom says, I love seeing him every day and talking to him. He's an absolute joy to work with. So congratulations to Jackson.
What do you say? Thank you. All right, can you come up here and stand? Come up. No. All right. Stand. You're good. Stand right there. Okay. Oh. Oh. Okay, look at Miss Bottoms.
You got everybody?
Very good. Little boy, look good.
Congratulations, Jackson.
Bye. That works. Perfect. Thank you. Bye.
Our next student is from Paint Lick Elementary. It's Paisley Baker. She's the second grade daughter of Patrick Baker and Jerica Skidmore. Paisley works so hard. She's improved so much in reading because of her hard work and the support of her mom. She comes to every meeting and additional one-on-one meetings with both of her teachers. School is such a priority for her that you can't wait to watch her improve even more. She is always a polite young lady and has come out of her shell since starting as a new student at the beginning of the year. She's a wonderful addition to Paint Lick Elementary. Congratulations to Paisley. Where'd my picture guy go? Oh, there he is. Come right up here.
Kind of stand right in front, like right here.
That's okay.
Just don't trip on the wall. See, and then you face that way. There's your little.
You didn't know this. All
Sorry, I was trying to social distance.
right, I got her back. 1, 2.
Congratulations.
Did you know about that?
Thank you.
You want to say anything? Are you ready?
Oh, well, yeah, we apologize. We had a little technical problem, and I think we're back up now. So we're back at the board meeting. Mr. Stokes, you continue.
Absolutely. Our next student of the month is from Garrard Middle School. It's Parker Woolams. He's the sixth grade son of Chris and Kim Woolams. And as we were just discussing while we were off camera, you all know Parker from previous experiences with him. But I'll share with you that Parker makes sure he does all his work to the best of his ability. He participates in meets. He's willing to look for answers and helps others, and is just an all-around great student. So congratulations to Parker Woolams on being Student of the Month.
Are you just Kim or?
Yeah.
That's what I thought she said, but they weren't coming and I was like, okay.
All right, we're gonna have to look at it here.
You need to duck down.
I got it, bud. All right, 1, 2.
I even smiled.
We'll be watching.
We're gonna watch them things. You want. Oh.
Our next student is from Garrard County High School. Abby Keith is the sophomore daughter of Corey and Rhonda Keith. Abby has attended all of the Google Meets, turned in all of her assignments on time, participates in class. Her answers are of high quality, and she adds to the content that we're learning. She's always positive and seems to love coming and participating in school. So congratulations to Abby on being the teacher, the student of the month. Abby, if you don't care, please come up.
Watch that cord, don't trip over the cord.
Yeah. I already got it here. No, we don't. And we don't. You see me upstairs? Yeah, I got it. Okay.
Chris? The other Chris? Are you listening? We got a text from somebody that said they lost their audio. Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda is site-based minutes and from all our schools, and I assume all board members have had an opportunity to go over those. So we'll continue next with item C, which is audience comments.
We have a member of the community who'd like, and a parent who'd like to speak to you tonight. Her name is Brandy Browning. Ms. Browning, if you'd like to
Do you want me
come
to
up.
stand up there or here? I don't care.
If you don't care to come up, that'd be great.
Right. You all ready?
Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
Thank you all for having me tonight. Most of you responded back to me, and I appreciate that. Some of you I know, some of I don't. I went to Garrard County. I graduated in 2003. My husband went to Garrard County. He graduated in 2004. We both work Lexington areas, and people wonder why we stay here. And we just like this community. This is our home. This is where we want our son to be raised. I'm actually a nurse at UK, so I have dealt with COVID stuff since day one. So it's been kind of a whirlwind the last year. None of us expected to be in this situation. I know I didn't. I thought by summer we would be good. But some things I just wanted to bring up. The little guy with me, his name's Raylan Cope. He is 6. He has actually been in the school system this is his 4th year because he started early, had a speech delay. So he has a September birthday, so he got lucky, he got 3 years of full preschool, which doesn't really happen for a lot of kids. So he still, got approved for an IEP for speech. So he's continuing that, and everyone at Lancaster Elementary, I went to Camp Day growing up, so I was kind of partial to that, and, I wasn't for sure, and I said, well, we'll go where our house is, if nothing else, we'll change school districts. I absolutely love it at Lancaster Elementary, they're amazing at what they do. He succeeded and been happy, and he's outgoing. If he could have his way, he would be in your all's laps right now, but, we have struggled almost daily with virtual instruction. He does not learn good. He can focus on video games, but I feel like he thinks the school is like a video game. It's how many minutes till we're done, and he's up and he's running. You know, he doesn't do well with that. Most days we are arguing at the dining room table. I've tried to set up a school area. I've moved it into the basement, making it a school area. It's just not worked for us. Tears have been shed by both of us, actually. I feel defeated as a parent. I don't even know why I'm upset. But Raylan, fortunately, is a very bright child. But he's losing his basics, his fundamentals. I'm gonna catch myself together. So virtual's great. He's smart. Raylan can read actually at almost a first grade level, so he's way ahead. But he can barely write his name. He doesn't know how to sit in a chair. I mean, you know, he doesn't know basic respect, because if they're on Zoom and they're talking, they just mute them. Like, I feel like he's missing out on so much. Like I said, I don't even know why I'm this upset about it. But it's probably just built up over the year. Another issue that I have is I wanted him in person since day one. So we've done everything. We tried, like, you know, we got to go a couple weeks in the fall, here and there. So he is on the red team. His last name's Browning. He got to go. He has only gotten to actually go 4 days. And that's not your all's fault. That's due to weather, holidays, things like that. But of those 4 days, he's also only received his speech therapy once. So I just feel like, I know that's the hybrid is good on paper, but it's kind of uneven when I think the other group, I've tried to count, is like 8 times, which is double. And he's like, why is there people at school and I'm at home when we're on the Zoom meeting? He just doesn't quite understand. And it's just, I know all kids are struggling, but I'm not saying mine's worse off. There's a lot more worse off. I actually had 2 parents contact me yesterday and said their middle schooler and high schooler had been hospitalized because they had tried to commit suicide twice. And as a nurse, I'm frustrated. As a pet parent, I'm frustrated. I know you all are doing what's best, and I know everyone is, but I just felt like if I didn't come tonight, that I wasn't taking up for him the best I could. I just feel like they're losing such critical time in the relationship building processes that they can't get back. And they're already going to be, I mean, kids nowadays, he's on that tablet, and it's partly parents' faults because you can't do anything unless they're doing something like that. But I just feel like they're losing so much, and socially, emotionally, everything is just a whirlwind. And you wouldn't think it would affect a 5 and a 6-year-old like it does, but he's not the same kid he was a year ago. And last, after I get done being upset, I'm so sorry. The CDC recommended in an article on the 18th that the classroom first approach be prioritized over all extracurricular activities, including sports and other school events. These children can absolutely go anywhere and do anything to get an education right now. I mean, he can go to Disney World. He can go to church. He can go to the store, but he cannot go and get the one thing that he needs the most right now. I just hope that, I know you all want to go back to school, but I just felt like I had to come and be his voice. And these parents have contacted me, and no, some don't understand, and I do understand a lot of the effects of COVID. Like I said, my unit at work, was trying to go to the field house to be on the first line. I have seen people be sick from this. But we have to learn to move on. This is gonna be around forever. It's gonna be like the flu. It's not going away, and we have to learn to live with it. And we cannot put our children's education at the end of this. We shouldn't be allowed to go out to eat and do everything if we can't have our kids go back to school. Thank you all for listening to me blubber. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you for coming, Brandy. The next item on item D is board member comments, and Randy, if you're gonna hang around just a minute, I'd like to start, if anybody else has. We have received many phone calls, emails, and texts. And Brandy, at least 99% of the people want us to go back in person. And I've tried, me and I think all the board members do, try to answer everyone's person.
I know, I made a Facebook post and it kind of exploded. It wasn't anything, it just said contact your board member if you have an opinion. And I was at work and the next thing I know, your all's numbers and emails were all over Facebook and I didn't know that it was gonna go that far. So if you've been bombarded, I'm sorry, but I just, I told parents if they're concerned, they need to let you all know.
Well, thank you, Brandy, for
Yeah.
that.
Well, your number was everywhere, so I don't know if he was excited about that.
But that's actually what we're here for.
Yes, and that's what I
That's what we're
want.
here for. We're here to hear from our constituents. We're here to hear about your concerns. As you've experienced roadblocks, so have we.
I know you have.
And, kudos to Mr. Stoll and all the board members for trying to come up with a point to where we can go forward. And I think, and I'm just speaking for myself, I think we're at the point now that we can begin to make some headway. And I guarantee you that we'll do everything that we very possibly can that's allowable by the state. And that has a tendency to be our roadblock, but they are at least softening somewhat to give us an opportunity.
And I understand that, like I said, so where I work in Lexington, I work with people that their kids go to all different counties. And I do know that since we went back hybrid, Bourbon County has been back full instruction in their elementary schools, and they're trying to go back to their middle schools. They've been 5 days a week. They had to miss one day other than snow days. And I also know that Woodford County has been back full instruction to their 5 days a week, at least K through 5, and they are also going to their middle schools next to try to get those kids back also. So, I mean, I know, I don't know all the guidelines. I tried to look some stuff up and, it was overwhelming. So I know your all's plate is full, but I just know what I have experienced. And like I said, as I know you all got a lot of messages, people were wanting me to write more emails. I was like, I can't do this, but I said, I can go. I didn't mean to cry the whole time, but,
It's okay. It's very emotional for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. And I want everybody watching to know that we do listen. We may not be able to accommodate everything, and we're not gonna make everybody happy. And we know that,
yeah.
but we want all the board members and superintendent and all the staff, we want our kids back in school.
Yes.
And we know that there are parents that are still concerned that are gonna want their child to remain virtual.
Yeah.
Which that service is gonna be provided, and I just wanted everybody to know that. Any other board members?
Just echo what you had said, that we appreciate people
Yes.
speaking out and sharing their comments, and just wasn't able to respond to everyone. So please do not think that they were not, emails were not
Oh,
read.
yeah, and I know. And Mr. Stoll, I've actually emailed him. I emailed him at the beginning of the year and this time, and he responded within like 15 or 20 minutes. And I thought he was completely too busy to be bothering me to worry with my email on a Sunday evening. And then Jerry called and I missed the phone call, and Dr. Lamb also. And I just appreciated that I wasn't, and I know the other parents, everyone wants the best for their children, including you all, or you wouldn't be here. And I appreciate that. I just need them to go back to school.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you
I
all.
would like,
Anybody else?
I would like to say that, someone that hasn't been mentioned enough is Mr. Stoll. in his efforts to see that, we get back to
Yes.
5-day instruction and do that in the safest manner possible. And I think, some people, what they don't understand is we've had to delay a little bit to ensure that the staff was protected as well as the students. And with the way it's set up now to start back on the 8th day of March, the staff will be, the ones that have wanted and requested the shots will have them and gone through their period of time to wait, and we should, and the ones that taken it should be 95%
Yes.
safe. That helps there. And I think that Mr. Stoll has worked with the state and abided by their regulations very, very much as we have to operate. And I would hope that people understand, we,
Yeah.
as a board, and I can speak because we've all addressed it in the past, have always been in favor of in-person learning. But due to, as Mr. Hurt said, due to the restrictions the state has put on us up until this moment, actually, I think it's about the first week of February, we were told that we could go back and start making our own decisions. So we're proceeding with caution and with the best interest of our staff and our students. And I hope people realize that we have not been in favor of farming out our practices of education in Garrard County and making it hard on people. We are trying to do the best we can for everybody to get quality education for our kids. Sometimes it's just not possible to get what everybody wants. We just have to take what we're allowed to get. And I apologize for that, but there's nothing really, I don't think we could have, as a board, could have done any more than we have. But I'm glad that you came and spoke to us, and you spoke from your heart, and you have your child's best interest at heart. So thank you so much for coming.
All right, thank you. Mr. Query, anybody else? All right, we'll move on to the superintendent. He has some things that he'd like to share with us, Mr. Stoll.
So y'all have access to the hirings that we've had since the January board meeting and the resignations as well. One of the things that we wanted to share with you tonight also is the feedback that we've been getting from our survey and our focus groups on the loss of learning. I've placed an item on your desk. You should be able to see that. I think for most of you, it's on the far right-hand side. Obviously, we're not going to read through all of that tonight, but you certainly should take a look at that. The first thing I want to do is thank all the people who participated in the survey. And then I want to thank the groups who came in and helped us with our focus groups. We ended up having to do all of those virtual, which is not exactly what we wanted to do, but we got some great feedback. One of the things that we would like to make you aware of is we are looking at trying to meet our students where they and their parents feel like they need to be met. So we are looking at before school, we're looking at after school, we're looking at summer, we're even looking at Saturdays. And the first thing that I would tell you is none of that's a requirement. It's not somebody has to show up at one of these times. It's that we've had enough people indicate that there might be an opportunity to meet students at this block of time. And so we want to make sure we take a look at that. I can tell you that we are actually ahead of several districts, maybe many districts. One of the advices that's coming out right now is you should check with your stakeholders. Well, we've done that twice now. We've reached out through the survey and we've reached out through the focus group. And the focus group gave us a lot of neat insights, including a parent who suggested that we work with them to help them learn how to support their kids. So not just how do we support students, but how do we support parents through this process. We're looking at rolling out potentially the first experience as early as spring break, depending on how quickly we can make this happen. And this will be a long-term process that we're looking at in this support area. And this does not address what we're going to do inside the regular classroom day. This is what we're going to do in supplement to what happens on a daily basis moving forward. So one of the things that the folks have been really clear about is that whatever we call it, let's not call it school. Let's make it something different. So we want to make sure that we listen carefully to that. No surprise to anybody out there, when we ask people about incentives, the very first thing that comes up is food. And so it's always a good thing to know. So we're looking at all the way from the time to how we do it, to how we incorporate the evening meal program that's available to us moving forward. So we wanted you to have this, take it with you, start looking through it. Our principals are digging through it. We're actually going to do another focus group with students. I will tell you that they're the smartest group for us to talk to, because they're the ones who know what's missing. They're very honest. You don't find that they just say, help us get further ahead. They say, we know that we've had some gaps, let's address those. So I think what you have here is the opportunity to do something maybe that we've wanted to do previously, but didn't have the resources to do it, and we're going to have that. One of the things that we'll need to look at is how we incorporate this and look at sustainability. So if we find processes that work really well here, those processes can continue to work even after these dollars go away. And so we want to look at what sustainability looks like. We don't want to get lost in dumping this money into something that can't be replicated. So we'll be working through that, continue to work through that all the way through. We'll keep you engaged in this process. We want this to work into our strategic plan, because the strategic plan needs to take this into consideration. Because I would suggest that what we're looking at is the potential of a couple of years to make up for what's going on. It's not going to be a one-time summer hit that fixes it, or one after-school event, or one Saturday morning. It'll be a long-term process. And what we want to do with this is not tell parents what they have to do, or kids what they have to do, but provide as many opportunities for them to make selections as they possibly can about how to do this. So we're not here today to tell you the plan is done. It is not. We're not here to tell you that it'll be a 2-week summer event, a 4-week summer event, an 8-week summer event. We're here to tell you that we're listening really carefully to what people are telling us so that we build it in the right way. And so what we hope we have at the very end of this is the best opportunities for every kid out there, whether that's a Saturday morning for one, a Friday night for another, a summer program for somebody, an after-school program, a before-school program. We want to find all of those things. And we will work to make this a district effort. We're not going to try to pigeonhole it into just a school that does this. So if there's something that we can offer at one school and we can transport other kids to that school because it fits what they need, then that's what we want to look at doing. So it will incorporate the concepts of transportation. It will incorporate the concepts of food. It will incorporate field experiences for students. It will be camp type experiences. Will be all of those types of things. What you won't see from it is an individual walking into a classroom, sitting down behind a desk and looking like something that they might have done earlier that day. There may be a place for that in a credit recovery environment, or in a dual credit class where we're having to comply with what a university wants from us. But for those students who are really needing to expand their horizon, both either to catch up or to move forward, then we want to do that. If it means a GT camp in the summer for our gifted and talented kids, then that's what we want to do. If it means a reading camp for kids who got behind, or for a student who doesn't know how to write their name, those are things that we need to hear, and that's what we're working from. So you have a summary piece, and kudos to Ms. Perry, who took all of the notes in all of these sessions and synchronized it into something that's manageable here. Tons of notes there to try to dig through. So kudos to her for that effort and for that work, and for all of those individuals who've given us feedback. If we didn't get it, we could make a great program that nobody wanted to be a part of. So that's where we are with that.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Item number 3 is reports, and under item 3A is a treasurer's report.
You all have seen the treasurer's report. We're happy to go over it again. You know that you're substantially ahead of where you were at this time last year. You've seen the bonding potential, I believe, as well, and you know that it's up one more time. I'm not sure that can continue, but I think I've said that every time. So if we come back next time and it's up again, that'll be all right.
All right.
You all have had bills presented to you, and that takes you through that and leads you to your consent agenda.
All right. Item number 4 is the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adopt all items in the consent agenda at this time.
I'll make a motion to adopt the consent
Dr.
agenda.
Lamb made the motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. McQuarrie seconded. Now, is there anything that you had questions about in the consent agenda? There being none, all in favor, uplift your right hand. All opposed, like sign. And all board members were in favor. The consent agenda is approved. And item number 5 is action agenda. And item number A is to approve the calendar change. Mr. Stoll.
Due to the 2 days that we had to take as legitimate snow days where we were not virtual, we have built into the schedule enough time to cover one of those days. We do not have enough time to cover 2. So I'm asking the board to allow us to alter our current calendar and make March the 19th an instructional day. The good thing is, if you make a decision on the next item, that would be an in-person day for everybody. So that's a good get for everyone. So the recommendation that I have for you tonight is a change to the calendar, amendment to the calendar, including March the 19th as an instructional day.
Thank you, sir. I'll entertain a motion. Do you,
I'll make the
Mr.
motion.
McQuarrie made the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Ms. Davis? Raised her hand first. All right, are there any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by looking at hand. All board members were in favor. The motion is approved. Item number B is to approve 5-day in-person instruction.
So we would, based on the information that you all have, and I'll be glad to go down any path that you would like me to go down here. The recommendation that I'm going to make to you tonight is that we return to full instruction for those families who want to continue to be in person, with our elementaries returning on March the 8th and middle and high returning on March the 15th. I think that there were a couple of things that a few of you would like me to address. One of those has been pointed out already. Our teaching staff will have had their second vaccine on Friday, and that allows them to go through a full process of 7 days to be ready to go in. And they will have a form of immunity from 7 to 90 days that allow them not to have to be quarantined if they were to be exposed to a positive case, as long as they remain symptom-free. That's big for us in doing in person, because the biggest loss that you would have as far as impacting everyone is the loss of the teacher. The loss of the student is really important, so don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but if a student had to quarantine and the teacher stayed, then you can stay in person. If you have to quarantine a teacher, then you get into a spot where you may have to quarantine or go to virtual for a larger group. So that was a great piece of information that came from the CDC. So that's us aligning with the CDC and how that works. If a student tests positive and has been in the classroom, we're going to try to work as best we can to function. I believe Dr. Lamb would describe it as a comparison to like pertussis, and just quarantining those students who are directly around that student who was positive, rather than making it a full classroom, if we can get to that spot. We'll quarantine whoever we need to be safe, but if we can maintain that, then we will try to do that. We'll continue to address all of the requirements that we possibly can. We can continue to require masks. That piece has not gone away. We'll continue to work on the hand pieces. We'll continue to check students as they're coming in on a daily basis. If somebody has an issue, we will send them back home. The one thing that we can't accommodate at 100% will be a 6-foot distance between every seat. And we've tried to share that honestly as we've moved forward through this process. As I was on a webcast this afternoon with KDE, the last statement that they made was 6 feet is what you want, but if you can't get 6 feet, then as much as you possibly can. So one of the things that will be incumbent on me and on my staff is to make sure that we've reviewed every classroom that we can to create as much space as possible. If we have one room that we know for sure can't even get close, then it will be moving that room to a larger environment in the building. So for example, the high school might need to move somebody to the library. The middle school might need to move to the library, to the auditorium or something of that nature. So we'll be looking at that to ensure as much distance as we possibly can create. And there will be some environments where 6 feet will continue to happen just because of the numbers of students who are coming back. I think some of you got an email today indicating that we might have a teacher who 15 would be the most that they could get, but they think they have 19. So when you go in and measure in that environment, they're probably going to be around 5 to 5.5 feet. Some of that comes down to us making sure that we're not lining up rows, but we're staggering those rows to create as much diagonal as we possibly can. But I would not tell anyone that we're going to guarantee that 6 feet. And that means that if a parent has a concern, they still have the right to make a decision to go to a virtual environment and protect their student as they see fit. We will open up, if you all approve this, an opportunity for all parents to make a decision about what they want to do moving forward. If they want to come back in person, they'll be invited to do so. This will be, though, the last opportunity to make that decision. So we'll be going back into an in-person about 2 weeks before the end of the 9 weeks. We won't open it back up again. But if you choose to come in person and then you decide no, virtual is better, we've always allowed you to move out of that one into the virtual environment. So if somebody says, I want to take a shot at it, can I go back to virtual if I'm not comfortable? Then the answer is yes. If you choose to stay virtual through this process, then that will be virtual for the remainder of the year. We won't open that back up. So any questions that you might have?
No, thank you, Mr. Dahl. I appreciate it. And those of you that might be watching that have had questions about quarantine protocol, I hope that helps answer your questions as well. You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Mr. McQuarrie made the motion.
Second.
Mr. Hart seconded. Or do any of you have any questions or comments?
The only thing I would like to say is that the mask being worn is not something we have the option of as a board. We don't have the right to make that decision. That's mandated by the state. So we can't take that away. So we have to follow the mandate of the state.
And if you watch the governor's briefing tonight, the lieutenant governor made it plain that mask, it is a mandate. And the school board or the district, it doesn't have any control over that, so. Anybody else? All in favor, raise your right hand. And all board members were in favor. The motion is passed. Item number C is to approve creation of an additional custodial position, and this will be on the district level. Mr. Stowe.
You did a really good job with that. That's about what I would have said. We have a position that we've currently been funding through a sub process, and we would like to move as many of our people who are going to work for us onto a contract as opposed to being subs for us, so that you all know exactly what that looks like. The position is currently about a half-time or maybe a little bit more than that. We'd like to go ahead and make it a full-time position covering the areas that we've shared with you. The field house, the Merritt Field facility, GEC gym, GMS gym during athletic seasons, the board office, and other sites as we might see fit. My recommendation is you create this position.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. I'll entertain the motion.
I move that we accept it.
Ms. Davis made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurt seconded. Do any board members have any questions or comments? All in favor, let it know by lifting your hand. All board members were in favor. The motion is passed. Item number D is to approve creation of a director of pupil relations and visible technology.
So just to be sure there, it's public relations and visible technology. You understand public relations, I'm sure, without any concern. Visible technology would be those areas like our webpage, our social media area. We've given you a long list there of things to look at in addition to the job description. We believe that the vast majority of the cost of this can be absorbed by a change that we're going to make during the end of this school year. So we're not asking for a ton of money around this process. This is not an administrative position. It is based on a teaching salary and additional days that we would place there. And we would like to post that position and see if we have people who are qualified and interested in doing it. One of the big pieces that we want from this too is for this individual to work on a weekly basis with our teachers to support their area of technology. We've had teachers work in all kinds of areas of technology. What we'd really like to have here is some bringing that together and have this individual, if you're familiar with TED Talks, basically creating a weekly type of TED Talk where they share that information and not just say this is where it is, but this is how you can use it, this is how you can incorporate it. We'd also like to use this individual to help us build out some platforms that we think would be beneficial to us in the long run. I think if you look near the end of that, you'll see an online human resources platform, certified evaluation platform, and a common assessment platform. All of those things, if we purchase, would be an exceptional cost to us. And so we feel like this would be a long-term benefit to us. So my recommendation to you is the creation of this position.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to create the position.
Dr. Lamb made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hart seconded. Do any of you have any questions? Not all in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor, the motion is carried. Item number E is to approve auditors for the fiscal year 2021 audit.
This past year, you all had Patrick and Associates as your audit firm. It was your first year to have them. You have the right to continue with them. My recommendation is that you continue with them for a second year. If you have a different feeling, we obviously can look that way, but my recommendation is that you stick with Patrick and Associates.
You heard the superintendent's recommendation. I'll entertain a motion. Mr. McQuarrie makes a motion.
Second.
Ms. Davis seconded. Do you have any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor, the motion passes. Item number F is to approve pay scale adjustment for central office secretarial staff. Mr. Stowe.
This year, you all have asked me to look at personnel, and we're trying to align that. You're going to have another personnel issue a little bit later relative to job descriptions and things of that nature. So in the process of looking, I've looked at all of our classified salaries, and the one area that was the most distinctively out of line was some of our central office secretarial staff. I'd like to try to bring that in line if possible. We've given you the proposal in front of you for what that would be. The reason that this one was that caught my attention was the top of our scale was below the bottom of everyone else's entry point, with one exception. There was one other district whose entry point was a little bit lower than our top. This is the most out of whack one that we have. We'll continue to look at those moving forward, and if there's another recommendation that we need to make regarding some of our other staff, we'll be glad to do that. My recommendation is that you make this pay scale adjustment.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion.
Ms. Davis made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hart seconded. Do you have any questions or comments?
Question?
Yes, sir.
This is all the secretarial staff?
It is not all secretarial staff.
Okay, so it's not for auditors.
It's not, I'm sorry,
It's not for pay scale adjustment for central office secretarial staff. It's for part of the central office.
right, and on the form that I've given you,
Mhm.
it lists the people at the top. I'm not the people, the positions at the top.
So the other salary schedule was not out of sync.
Not to this degree. I think when we look at our classified staff, we can find out of sync in a lot of places. This is the most drastic one, and that's why I said we'll continue to look at others if you want us to. We're looking at them already, but this one is the one that's the biggest disconnect with any group that we're looked at.
I would hope that you're going to continue to look to find anything else that's out of
We'll keep
place.
looking.
I feel sure that you are going to.
We'll keep looking.
And are.
Or anybody else? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor. Pay application, I'm sorry, the pay scale is approved. Item number G is to approve pay application number 3 for the middle school exterior door project.
Schiller Architect has asked for a pay amount of $45,252 on the exterior door project, and I would recommend that you approve this pay application.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. McQuarrie makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hurt. Any comments or questions? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor. The motion is passed. Item number H Approved pay application for number 4 for, middle school exterior door project.
So this is the following one. Since our last meeting, they've been able to complete 2 of those. This request is for $6,989.38. It's Schiller Hardware again, and it's the GMS door project, and I would recommend that you approve this pay application.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to pay.
Dr. Lamb made the motion to pay. Do I have a second?
So,
Mr. McQuarrie seconded. Do you have any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. All board members were in favor, the pay application is approved. Item number I is to approve pay application number 4 for canopy project.
Momentum Construction is requesting pay in the amount of $117,229.95 for completion of their work on the CDR canopy project, and I would recommend your approval.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I move.
Ms. Davis made the motion. Do I have a second?
second.
Mr. McQuarrie made the second. Do you have any questions or comments? All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
No,
please.
that's fine. I just took, my arm and my mouth don't move at the same time, and I raised one and the other one wouldn't work. And I hope these are nearing completion and the expenditures are still there in allocated money, and we haven't seen any cost overruns to mention.
You have not.
All right, thank you. That answers that.
Okay. All in favor, let me know by lifting your hand. All board members were in favor. The pay application is approved, and Mr. McQuarrie, you'll like Jay.
Well, maybe not as much as you did the other night. So this one has been revised since your Monday work session over a week ago. Mr. Cheek shared with you that when the canopy was put in, that the canopy did not extend to cover the ramp for special ed students for ADA purposes. So we asked him to take a look to see what that was, what that cost would be to put a ramp in the area that would be protected by the canopy. So we had originally told you that this was an extension of days, and it still is. And we had originally told you that you would be looking at an $11,000 refund. The project to do the ramp can be completed for $3,346.50. My recommendation is that you allow that change order, reduce your refund from the $11,000 to $7,798.50. It's a 5-day project, and it allows us to have that ADA ramp in under the canopy, and I think we owe that to everyone to do it. It's a second ramp, which doesn't hurt, but the fact that it would be in that location, I think is appropriate, and it doesn't cost you any money. It just reduces the amount that you would get back, so I would recommend approval of this.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I move.
Ms. Davis moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. McQuarrie second. Do you have any other comments or questions? All in favor, let me know by lifting your hand. All board members were in favor. The motion is passed. And item number K is to approve teacher leader implementation. Mr. Stubb, would you explain that to us?
Absolutely. We've expanded the idea from just a high school, middle school, department chair to a position that's a teacher leader position that we would have in all of our schools. And there would be a minimum of 5 in each of our schools. It would be a district paid position, but the position would belong to those principals. But it would also give us access to those individuals. So it helps us with the concept of vertical structures. It also helps with obviously horizontal structures. Ms. Perry would be able to ask for the teacher leader in the area of math from each of those schools to come together for a meeting. And those would be the people who would carry that information back to work with their teachers. We know that teachers learn best from teachers. And this gives us the ability to put somebody in a spot that hasn't existed previously, particularly at our elementary levels. We want to make sure that we recognize the hard work that happens at that elementary level to make this occur. So what we're asking for is your permission to do this. We've created a job description for this. It's in your packet that you looked at originally, but I've also attached it again if you need to. So my recommendation is that you approve the teacher leader implementation plan.
Okay, you have heard the superintendent's recommendation. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Hurd moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Davis seconded. Do you have any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor, and the motion is carried. Item number M, since we removed L at the very beginning,
Well done.
is to approve second reading of revised job description for Garrard County Schools. Mr. Stoll.
So we gave you the packet prior to the January board meeting. I emailed you some changes a week or so ago, and I've printed those again in case you needed to see those. But outside of the changes that we made in those areas, it would be my recommendation that you approve this second reading of those job descriptions. Then we would add to them your approval date and then post those to the web so that everybody knew what all our job descriptions are.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the revised job description.
Dr. Lamb made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurd seconded. Do you have any further questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor. The motion is passed. Item number N, facilities plan review and discussion.
So as you know, we've been sharing with you your bonding capabilities. And we know that there has been some interest at the board level moving forward, looking at some possible decisions around the facilities plan. We've attached the facilities plan for you again, and would like to open the opportunity for you to begin the review process of what you might want to do with that. I would like to make my staff and myself available to you to carry out any wishes that you might have. For example, if you would like us to have conversations, set up any kind of forums for the community to share what their insights might be or what their wishes could be, we would be happy to do that on your behalf. You would certainly be invited to be a part of that, but we'll organize it if you would like to do that. We have had some conversation off record to try to get you a little bit of information. If you look at that, you know that it's an older facility plan. And so the cost estimates may not be quite accurate. I had a conversation to try to track that down for you. What was shared with me is that KEE has recommended that you would look at a number at a 1.035, and that might give you an estimate. It's not a hard estimate by any stretch of the imagination, but it might give you some indication of what that change would be. So if you look at it, you're no longer looking and saying, oh, that's what it was back then, I don't know what it would be. We would dig much deeper if you narrow the scope of what you're considering. You may not want us to get price estimates on every single item that's on there. If you have an idea that you would like to move forward with, or that the community, if you want to hear from them, that they might encourage you to move forward with. So again, tonight is simply creating the opening conversation around potentially looking at some work to expand, extend, renovate, change the facilities in Garrard County.
Is this something I remember seeing on the consent agenda, the strategic planning committee would be involved in this?
They could be if you wanted to be. One of the things that you would certainly want in a strategic plan is for it to encompass everything that you do. So if the strategic plan is being put together and you all are working on this, we would certainly want to dovetail that in on how that looks. You all will be the decision makers on what happens with facilities for sure. But if we can align things to that, we would love to do so. So if something happened on a facility, and I'm just making stuff up here, so this is not a conversation anybody has had. But if you said that you wanted to add 2 classrooms to a building, then we would want to look at what those 2 classrooms should look like in the strategic plan. If you're just putting in 2 rooms for the sake of putting in 2 rooms, that may not be the best thing to do. But if you put in 2 rooms and you went at a strategic look at that and say, this is what's missing from our schools, and this is what the ad could be, that could make a lot of sense. So again, I think everything that we do moving forward, we want to blend into that strategic plan and make sure that what we do comes out of that strategic plan moving forward. So it's a great question, but they'll still be 2 separate pieces, but we'll make sure they work together.
Okay. Dr. Lamb and I had a conversation the other day about the strategic plan, and you mentioned about some of the things that have been accomplished, like the canopy and things like that. Once those are completed, are they removed?
So if you do a revision of your plan, yes. What we had asked for was an extension of what we have, a waiver to that.
Oh, I got, okay.
So if you're looking forward to that, you can look through there, obviously, and just kind of strike them. So I had a conversation again with some folks who helped guide me a little bit in some of the information I'm sharing tonight. And as they were looking through, they said, well, you've done the canopy, and you've done a roof on this building, and you've done some of the security pieces here and some things like that. So as we take a look at it, there's more on there now than you need to address because it's been addressed. But still, the vast majority of the things on there are still need for the district based on that plan.
Okay, so you've been in contact with Baird
I have.
about two possibilities.
So Baird has indicated that you all have the ability to have one, two, or more projects going simultaneously as long as you have the funding necessary for it, which is your bonding capability, and it's a decision the board wants to make.
So what are the next steps
So,
that we need to take?
so I think you all have to direct me at that point on what your next steps are. You all could sit here tonight, make a decision, vote on it, and say that's what we want to do. I don't think from the conversations that I've heard from you all that that's what you would want. I would suggest that if one of the things that you as a board want to do is to hear from your constituents, is that you allow us to schedule 1, 2, or 3 sessions where the community could voice their opinion. That does not lock you into that because you have some information maybe that a community member wouldn't have. You would know some things that you would want to tie into a strategic plan. But hearing where they fall is probably a good thing because it helps you know if you're leading down that path, because these are the folks who are going to be paying off that bond. And if you have them on your side, that certainly makes a lot more sense. So that's why I made the offer earlier. If this board would like to make a decision tonight to ask us to start that process, we would be happy to do that for you and start gathering information, and certainly expect you all to be a part of that. Not that we're doing it instead of you, doing it for you and with you.
If we're talking about spending a lot of money, and we're talking about the community having to consider paying for it, so to speak, then I think the community definitely deserves a right and to have an input into what we could, what they want to see happen. Somewhere in that, we might help to say, okay, these are things that we possibly can do. And basically help them come up with a menu that we can choose from and help them to help us prioritize what they'd like to see going forward. And so I just, not only do I want the parents out in the community, but I think that should be input from the teachers and everybody within the school system itself, so we can make the best use of what we have.
Why don't you start that process and get the ball rolling, maybe set up some, I don't know, town hall meeting type setups where.
So if I could make this recommendation to you, I recommend that somebody make a motion that that's what you're asking us to do. And then
All right.
our staff will start on that, and we'll move as quickly with it as we possibly can to get that process going so that you can have some feedback from them by the time you have your March meeting. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll have all the information that you want, but we'll certainly go work it.
It's a start.
Yeah, we'll go work on it.
I would like to make sure that as a board member, I am a part of collecting that data from the community. And so I don't want whatever we do to be done in such a fashion that I don't get to be a part of that. And so it's really important to me to be the voice for the folks that come from my precinct. And so I'd like to be that voice and be a part of collecting that data from them. And I think every item on our facilities plan, I wish that we had the resources to just do everything that's on that plan because it all needs to be done. But to me, there's a fair number of items that we've already accomplished that we could strike off. But that plan was done in 2015, I believe. And at that time, we had some buildings and some facilities that were already identified as being in need of some renovation. And so I want to make sure that whatever we present to the community clearly articulates to them what those needs are, so that we don't invest our resources into a facility or something new, and then 2, 3 years from now, have a collapse of a building that must have a renovation done to it, and we failed or neglected to look at the urgency of that right now. So if they needed renovating 6 years ago when this plan was put in place, what do they look like right now? So I think it's important to me that we articulate very clearly to the community what the needs are that are on that district facilities plan, and then we move forward, spending the resources the best that we can to serve our district.
I would encourage all of you to attend every one of these. We would call them a special board meeting because you would be there and we would need to do that. I would obviously encourage you not to make decisions at that meeting, but we can set up multiples, and we can also make them virtual for those people who would be uncomfortable attending. So that's what I'm saying. If you all make the motion to give us the direction, we're happy to do that, to engage you all in this full process.
And plus, each of us can poll our constituents, as Dr. Lamb said, and get their input, and then we could have that input if they're not in the meeting. Yes, sir.
I'm in agreement with Dr. Lamb in total, because I've seen in the past, and Brother Jerry too, that the very thing you fear will happen if you don't keep an eye on it. And just because we build a new shiny bauble doesn't mean that we need to leave our 6 or 8 other buildings to go into rack and ruin, which has happened in the past. Needed remodeling, needed maintenance and upkeep were not done on a timely basis, and we, in the last 2 or 3 years, have paid for it. Jobs that could have been completed, in my opinion, which is worth about whatever you think, but for much less 5 years ago, it cost us dearly in the last 2 or 3 years. And we do really need, as a board, to accept our responsibility to decide ultimately what gets done. Because as Mr. Hurt said, we do have access to information that a lot of people don't have, and when we have input from other people on the condition of buildings and what needs to be done, and I'd like to make sure that they're in there.
I'll attempt to formulate a motion, Mr. McGrew. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I can agree with you. Yeah, I can agree with the direction we're heading here. You know, I love that. But as we also look at this too, let's think about what we haven't completed. You know, we have structures that we started that weren't completed, just like King did. We didn't have the awnings out there. They needed that from the beginning, from the get-go. So we caught up to that. So I think that also, as we do this, everybody needs to be aware of, okay, the renovations. That's obvious. We got to maintain that. But at the same time, are we going to have the ability to finish projects? And I think all that needs to be taken into consideration. Dollar fixtures need to be put to it as much as we can, and see if all these things are within our capability. We just don't need to get narrow-sighted.
That's part of the process. I'm ready to make a motion.
Go ahead. You have a motion?
I am, Mr. Rucker. I don't want to cut off the discussion, but we're really getting into the process right now.
What I would like to make sure is that when we do meet with our communities, let's do that in that precinct. So for example, let's hold a meeting at Paint Lick Elementary, hold one at Camp Dick, hold one here in Lancaster, so that you have an opportunity to be in that precinct with those people and give them adequate opportunity to come and have their voices be heard in their place.
That's a good idea.
I agree with that, and I have shared this, and I don't think I shared it publicly with everybody, but when I looked into running for this position, it was interesting because I know that the districts had changed, but this particular area that I serve includes all schools. My past experiences being at a school, I had one board member that really checked in on me, but this particular position has all three elementary schools in it, which naturally leaves middle school and high school. I did not know that. So I think it's interesting. So I really feel like I'm speaking for the county and the decisions I make. I'm speaking for the whole school system. And it's interesting. So, but we all have good ideas, and I think we're all on the same page of trying to progress and to move forward with their district. So if somebody else wants to make a motion, but I'm ready to.
Did you have a motion form?
No, go ahead.
If you have, yeah, go ahead.
I move that we begin the process of reviewing the facility plan for possible action, including community stakeholders, everyone involved.
Does everybody understand the motion?
We're looking at a minimum of 3 and in the areas
They can decide.
that were mentioned.
We're happy to do that.
I will second that motion.
Okay, Dr. Lamb seconded. Is there any further discussion? Does everybody understand the motion in the second? All in favor, let me know by lifting your hand. All board members in favor, sir, that motion is passed. All right. Guess what the next item is?
I make the motion.
The query makes a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurd, second. All in favor, up with your hand. All were in favor, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you all.